Welcome to Module 5, guys. This one's titled The 8 Habits of Great Entrepreneurs. Good habits are worth being fanatical about. John Irving. I'm really passionate about this next topic. We're going to be talking about your habits. Again, we're still working on you as a person before we get into your business. The habits that you have in life determine who you become. One of the books that I suggest reading is a book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. A lot of the things that I talk about in this module come from that book. I challenge you to read that if you haven't yet done it, because your habits are going to ultimately lead you down a path of success or failure. And there are 8 habits that I've identified in the people that I've coached and the businesses that I've helped start and run that have really gotten those enterprises off the ground. The very first habit is managing your energy. Now, as an entrepreneur, you are going to have to master energy, and I want you to understand something. Energy is earned. It's manufactured by yourself. It's not something that you can take from like a 5-hour energy drink or a huge, latte mocha or whatever. And I know those things give you a spike in energy, but those energy sources fail you over time. So you have to have a habit of energy. You have to generate it within you. Now, there's a reason why really successful people make this a priority in their lives. If you think about like Tony Robbins, I mentioned him, the success coach, he has a cold plunge pool in his house to shock his nervous system, to wake him up and get him going. Arianna Huffington of the Huffington Post has her whole staff sit down every day and do breathing exercises. Tim Ferriss, one of my favorite authors in the world, is always focused on health. He does so many things from acro yoga to strength training because he knows that his body is a tool, and that's what you got to get your head around. Your body is a tool. You have to learn how to use it. If you don't use your body correctly, it will fail you over time. So how do you manage your energy? There's a lot of things that you can do, but what you need to understand is that everybody is different in terms of how your body responds to things. I will say this, it's obvious that you should be exercising if you're not. Now, all of this stuff applies to consulting your doctor. Make sure that you're physically capable of exercising, but you really need to be taking your body to the next level and pushing it so that it's getting the oxygen and the blood moving through it, all of that good stuff. Another thing I suggest is look at your consumption of energy drinks and all of the fake kind of energy systems out there. Those things are really designed to give you a shot of energy, but they do fail you over time. Now, the concept of like weaning yourself off of those and getting real energy from exercise and nutrition and good sleep, those are the big 3 guys. If you can master those, you will have strong energy. That's really what you want to be working towards. Now, the last thing I mentioned, good sleep. Make that a good habit. You want to go to bed at a good time. I always tell people, like, an hour before bed, turn your phone off. Don't watch TV. One of my favorite tips comes from Tim Ferriss, again, the author of the 4-Hour Work Week and a whole bunch of other books. An hour before bed, he turns everything off and he reads fiction because it keeps his mind from like turning all night long. It gets his mind into kind of like a creative sort of dreamy state, and he doesn't have to think about his life's problems. I took that habit on. I always read fiction an hour before bed, and it is one of the coolest habits in the world. So manage your energy, guys. Good food, good exercise, and good sleep. Know that you do those 3 things, you will earn energy, and you'll be better off for it. Habit number 2 is to do something at 2 p.m. Now, the time is irrelevant, but the concept is simple because after you eat lunch, typically you go into this thing we call a food coma. A food coma is where you've eaten so much food at lunch that, in the early afternoon, you literally are like just pulling through trying to get into your day, and it's just not happening, right? What you need to do at 2 p.m., I actually have an alarm go off every day, is get up, go for a walk, change the scenery, put some music on, go jump on a trampoline. I actually have a trampoline in my office, I'm not kidding, guys. Where at 2 p.m. I will go stand on that thing and jump around just to get my energy going and change my state, which is how my body feels and how I'm presenting myself to the world. If I just stay at my desk and work through 2 p.m., I get really, really tired and really, really kind of just sluggish is probably the right word. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Create a habit to eradicate that sluggishness so that you can stay on top of your day and create something great. Habit number 3 is to have really powerful nighttime and morning routines. Now, I love studying this. In fact, it's really popular to study this right now, the morning and night routines of successful people. Everybody wants to know what they do when they wake up and approach their day. Well, the successful people actually do have routines in place because they want to make the most out of each and every day. They don't just show up, they don't just roll out of bed and go to work and start flipping through their emails and deal with fires. No. They have a plan and they have a system. And that system, again, is designed for you. You need to build it for you, but I'll tell you what mine is, and this really helps me in my day-to-day activities. So my alarm goes off at 6 a.m. every day without fail. I don't get up earlier than that. I try to get up at like 5 in the morning. That was too early for me. I needed enough sleep. 6 o'clock, my alarm goes off. I jump out of bed. I don't like roll out of bed. I jump out of bed. I turn off my alarm, and then what I do is I go, and when I take my shower, it's a warm shower. I'm not in there for too long, but during that time in the shower, I'm thinking and dreaming. I'm allowing myself to dream about the things that I want to create and the big goals that I have for myself. But the last 30 to 60 seconds, I turn it to straight cold. I take a freezing cold shower, and this kind of goes back to Tony Robbins and his cold plunge pool. But what that does is it shocks your nervous system. I know it sounds terrible. Quite honestly, it is terrible. But you get used to it, and you actually fall in love with this cold shower concept. Again, it shocks your nervous system, and it wakes you up, and it teaches you something. It goes back to me that my body is a tool, and that if I can get through that cold shower and I can own that and step up and just be ready for my day, it reminds me to use my body as a tool. And then if I can shock my body, I can create energy in it, and I can go out and tackle the biggest, hardest stuff out there, okay? But if I just take a hot shower and I sit there for an hour and a half, feeling the warmth, and I slowly come out of the shower and I walk on to the next thing, I'm already starting sluggish, and that is not what I want. So from there, I go and I have a hot cup of herbal mint tea, and I journal for 5 minutes, and I write about everything that I thought of in the shower and how that applies to the big goals that I have set for myself. After the journaling's done and I'm dressed and ready to go, I will head to work. I haven't had breakfast yet. I actually make breakfast in my office every day. I have a little fridge there. I have the same thing every day. I have a bowl of steel-cut oats, 2 hard-boiled eggs, fresh blueberries in the oats, and then a protein shake to kind of get that protein thing going. I have that every day. I don't have to think about it. It's nutritious. It's meeting all of my nutrient needs and all that stuff. And then from there, I sit down and I write out 3 to 5 things that I want to do that will move the needle in my life towards my big goals. So I'm thinking, okay, I want to create a course like this, or I want to start a new business, or I want to do this. I'm thinking big goals. Like, what are the 3 to 5 massive, momentum moving things that I can do to really achieve my goals? I'm not thinking about, well, I gotta answer this email, and I've got to talk to Sally in HR today. I don't do any of that crap. Those are all tasks. Those things will get done. I'm not planning for those. I'm planning for big goal movement things. And that is my morning routine. I have a similar routine at night to wind down. But I want you to analyze your life. Are you just getting up and rolling out of bed and trying to make the day happen? Or do you have a system to make the day what you want? And are you wrapping up that day with a similar system? Habit number 4 is to read everything in sight. Now, you may or may not like to read books. If you're going to become an entrepreneur, we're going to change that about you. You need to start liking books and read everything constantly. So I've actually included in this course a reading list of some of my favorite books. Some of them are fiction, some of them are nonfiction, but they will give you a sense of how I spend my time when I am alone with my thoughts. Don't ever... It's good to, I've been harping on Netflix, right? Because we all like to binge watch on Netflix. You're allowed to do that occasionally, especially as an entrepreneur, because this is stressful. But more often than not, when you have a moment, try and pick up a book versus binge watching The Walking Dead. I have mentioned that I got my MBA and my accounting degree as well. Everything I learned in those 2 courses was great, and they did prepare me to be a business owner. But I will tell you this. The stuff I've learned in books outside of college, the books in the reading list or similar books, that is what's made me a successful business owner. Those are the books that have taught me how to be good at what I do and how to engage with people. I mean, I learned stuff in school about like the Fisher effect and macroeconomics and all that stuff. I don't use any of that, guys. It's a nice paper I got on my wall. What I do use are concepts like the dip I talked about from Seth Godin, or the Lean Startup. These books are just so full of like real world things that you can do. And the concept is simple. If you want to be great at something in life, you need to find somebody that's great at that thing already and learn from them and do what they do. The smartest people in the world have distilled all of their knowledge down into 250 pages of reading material and have given it to you. And honestly, if you're not taking that knowledge and soaking it up, if you're just trying to figure it out on your own because you think you're smart enough, guess what? You're not. You're not going to figure it out. Take these books and apply them and just soak them up, and you will be much, much better for it. Habit number 5 is to stop going to networking events and instead start connecting with people. I hate networking events. Now, don't take this 100% literal. You should actually still go to networking events, but don't do what everybody else is doing there, because if you haven't been to these yet, like the Chamber of Commerce events and the local business events, they're great. But what happens at them is people come with a stack of business cards and they just pass them out and they try to get everybody to buy their crap, right? And it's like this constant like spamming hour of lunch, and nobody's listening to each other, and they're just pawning their stuff off. Your job is to go to this and instead be different. So what I want you to do is set a goal of meeting in depth 1 to 2 people max. I don't want you to meet everybody in the room. I want you to meet 1 to 2 people maximum, but really get to know them as a person, as a business owner, get interested in them, understand their life story, understand the struggles in their business, understand who they are and why they're at that meeting, and let them take center stage. So instead of asking questions like, hey, this is my widget, have you ever thought of buying it, right? Don't do that. Instead ask, who are you? Why are you here? What goals do you have in your business? What struggles are you having right now? And if you're one of those people that struggles with having conversations with people, if you're an introvert, which there's nothing wrong with that, consider using a system called the 5 whys. So here's how it works. If you have a little kid, you know how this works really well. When a child asks you, Dad, why is the sky blue? And you go, well, because of so-and-so. And then they'll say, well, why so-and-so? And then you'll keep going, and they just keep asking why again and again and again. It's really obnoxious. You can apply this theory in your networking events. So if you go to a person and you just don't know what to say to them, you can ask a basic question like, what's your biggest struggle in your company right now? What can I help you with? And if they say something like, we're just not getting people into our store. Nobody's coming to visit us. Your job is to say, well, why do you think nobody's coming to visit you? That's why number 1. You want to get 5 levels deep, okay? Why number 1? I guess people aren't coming into the store because we're not marketing correctly. Okay. Why number 2 is, well, why do you think you're not marketing correctly? What can you do differently? See how this works? You just keep digging, and you're not doing it to be obnoxious, but you're doing it because you care and you want to help this person and you want to truly understand them as a human being. The goal being to make a friend. If you walk away from that networking event with 1 new friend, 1 colleague, 1 person you can call at night or in the middle of the day and say, hey, entrepreneur friend, this is what I'm struggling with, and you guys can hash that out together, you just won a networking event. That's what those events are designed for. They're not designed for you to peddle all your stuff and try to get new customers constantly. All right, guys, number 6 of 8 when it comes to habits is to fall in love with Moleskine. Now, Moleskine is a type of journal. You don't have to buy a Moleskine journal. They're the kind that I love because they're small and they fit into your pocket. But I want you to carry a journal around with you everywhere you go. And I know a lot of you are thinking, I don't need journals. Journals are stupid. I've got my phone. If I get an idea, I'll just write it in my phone. That's fine, you can do that if you're digital, but you're missing something if you don't go with the pen and paper. Here's something you need to consider. Some of the greatest people in the world are carrying journals with them everywhere they go, and every time they get an idea or an insight, they can write that down. What you can't do on your phone is get creative. All you can do is type the idea down and then you're done. But in a journal, on a paper journal, you can pull that out and you can draw pictures and you can draw arrows to link things, and you can get color-coded pens and highlight stuff and get really creative and just let your brain explode on paper. This is how I've come up with so many of my business ideas. This is how I have launched new segments in my companies. This is how I've decided to create this course for you. There are so many things that you get out of a paper and pen journal that you can't get from typing into your phone. So I challenge you to go out and go to your local bookstore and buy a little Moleskine journal, carry it with you, and write in it every day, every time something new comes into your head. Habit number 7, we're coming in on the home stretch here, guys. This habit is really, really awesome, and some of you are probably already doing it, but most probably not. That is to go to conferences and seminars. This is where you have to take money, and quite often it's a lot of money to go to these things, but you have to invest in yourself, and you're maybe going to a sales seminar or a self-improvement seminar or something. But you want to go to these often, and you want to always be a part of that culture and that community, because you're surrounding yourself with people who are trying to get better. Now, if you don't go to these, you'll literally just be in your living room trying to grow your business, or maybe you've got some office space by now. But you need to take a break and go where people are trying to grow and be a part of that. When you do that, something new happens. You'll get insights into your business. You'll get new relationships. You'll get mentors. You just got to go. And so I would also challenge you today to sit down and do some research and find some seminars that relate to your industry and how to be great in your industry, that relate to you as a person and how to improve in terms of your confidence level, appearance. By the way, I'm no model for perfect appearance. Anyway, you get the idea though, right? Find seminars that help you be the very best version of yourself so that you can grow each and every day. All right, guys, last but not least is habit number 8. This is talking to strangers. Now, if you are an introvert, this is going to be really, really hard for you, but it is the coolest exercise, and I want you to try it. So when I was younger, I was in an entrepreneurial contest. Hundreds of people all over the city applied to be in this contest, and they all competed. And I was actually the winner of me and 4 other guys won this contest together. The contest was called Junto, and it was kind of like a mix between Survivor, where you had to like go out and do tasks and prove your self-worth. Well, it was pretty much just like that, right? It was like this reality TV show, and they made you do things that you just were not comfortable with, but to show that you were going to be a good entrepreneur. And it was a challenge. It was a lot of fun. One of those tasks that they gave us was to raise capital for our new business idea, but we had to do it in the produce aisle of a grocery store. So think about this for a minute. We had to go into the produce aisle of our local grocery store and talk to 70-year-old grandmas and ask them for money for our business. That was really awkward, really, really awkward. But I did it. And none of us raised money. Nobody got cash, which is a good thing. We weren't supposed to take their money. It was just an exercise in talking to strangers. But what it did do is it taught us that, you know what, people are just people, and they're not as scary as you might think that they are. And when you go up and you approach people and you just begin talking to them as a human being, you become more relatable, you become a better salesman or a saleswoman, and you're able to pitch your ideas down the road. So that's what I want you to work on wherever you go. If you're on the bus today driving home, the guy sitting next to you, I want you to say hi to him and talk to him and learn about him, right? When you're at the grocery store and the woman that's checking you out, ask her how her day's going. Don't just say, hey, what's up, and then pay and leave. Find out who she is and learn her story. You're gonna need this skill as an entrepreneur, because at the end of the day, guys, every business is nothing more than a conglomeration of people working with more people. And if you're not a people person, you are really, really gonna struggle. You cannot do this on your own. You have to be comfortable talking about ideas. Okay, guys, that's it for this module. We've gone over 8 habits. Now, there are a lot of other habits that you can always, use in your life to improve on. But if you take these 8 habits seriously and actually implement them, I guarantee you that your life will get elevated. And that's what the whole purpose of this course is. If nothing else comes out of this course for you other than to elevate your life with these great habits, then we have succeeded, and that's just fantastic. But your homework for today is to go through each of these habits and seriously assess how you're doing with them and what you can do to start implementing them in your lives. Now, some of them you're going to lean naturally towards because you're like, oh, those are easy, I can do those. The uncomfortable ones, though, like talking to strangers, you might say, yeah, that's not important, I won't do that one. If you're serious about this business that you want to start, get serious about these habits, take them to heart, and give them everything you've got.